Hi, Indonesia. My name is Patricia Piccinini, and I'm here at Museum Achan with my new exhibition called Care. I think one of the most powerful aspects of visual art is that we can have an embodied experience. And generally, we encounter visual art in a museum, and that is a space that we're kind of primed to slow down for, and that we're sort of accepting the kind of conditions that here is a place to contemplate ideas and new concepts and have experiences. And so we walk in expecting that, and we can often have the potential for an embodied response. Often we encounter new ideas through a screen and it's just a small thing. Whereas here we have the impact of the whole environment, all the colors, all the kind of textures of things. And I think visual art can be very open-ended, and it can be talking about ideas that we're familiar with, like climate change, for example, but we're seeing them in a different way. Perhaps there could be a way that's more joyful or more, in my case, there was quite a bit of humor in my work, but there's also kind of ambivalences. They're not everything is black or white. There's a possibility for nuances, like for details. And it's not a place where you have to learn. It's a place where you can experience. Art's been tremendously important in my life. It kind of punctuates the way I kind of lived in the world. And if I think back over my life, and I'm almost 60, I'll often associate different periods with artworks. So, for example, when I was young, I was really into these kind of dark, brooding, kind of nihilistic images, like Edward Munch, things like that, because they kind of appeal to my teenage life. And then as I grew up, my interests became more wider, and not that there was anything wrong with Edward Munch, but I became more interested in more political things. I became interested in women's art, and so art's always been pivotal in my life. My work often depicts care, and it also kind of asks us to empathize, and that opens up the possibility to care. And also, in some works, there's a kind of an impulse to care for the vulnerable. So I approach the idea of care on many levels. But I think the reason why care is really important to me is because I'm interested in how we define the natural and the artificial. And this is an important duality in our culture, because this duality, distinction, keeps us away from nature and makes us believe that when we hurt nature, it doesn't really affect us. So it's okay to cut down that forest over there because it doesn't really affect me over here in my city, in my beautiful apartment. But we actually understand that we are coming to an environmental crisis, and that isn't going to be the case. It will affect people in cities. It will affect everybody on the planet. So it's erroneous to think that way. It actually doesn't make sense either. And one of the things that can detract from this definition and kind of break it up is care, caring for something. If you care for an individual, it doesn't matter what color they are or what gender or whatever at all. All of those things just fade away. It's your connection that matters. And that's why I depict it. So care is not a traditional subject for art making. It isn't something that we see often depicted in contemporary life even. And that's one of the reasons why I try to valorize it in my work. I try to give it a presence because we don't see it anywhere else. And I try to say, well, this is a big enough subject that it's worth making this whole sculpture about. In that way, I think that my work does do something valuable in our society, because many people don't think that it's important to care about things, or perhaps it's too hard, it's too late, it's too difficult. But indeed, it is care that can bring people together, and indeed bring us together with all the other living beings on the planet, and even inanimate subjects. And I think that that's what's important in life, to be connected. Yeah, so intimacy is an important aspect of my work. And I think that part of it is that you need to give yourself to it. And it's part of the dynamic in how people approach my work. So I think initially people are turned away because they see something that they don't know, it looks a little bit fleshy, they're unsure about it, and so they're pushed away. And that's almost part of being human. You know, we're suspicious of things we don't know. But then the challenge in the work is for us as a viewer to come back in and go, wait, I know this is strange, but there's something in here that is appealing to me. And perhaps it's the relationship that's depicted. Usually it's one of nurture. And so we come back in. And so it's kind of a kind of journey from aversion to interest. But to make this journey, you do need to be a bit vulnerable. You do have to sort of give yourself over to it. And you may find that what is at the other side is something that is very challenging and you didn't know about yourself. Perhaps you're going to feel something you've never felt before. And so that is a kind of vulnerable space. It actually is. And so in some ways, my work is very demanding. It's not easy. It's hard. It is emotional. And to get something out of it, you need to have an open heart. And that's being vulnerable. And so it works with people who come in and are open-minded, open-hearted. They're the people who are going to get something out of my work. The work I make is intentionally made to have these two parts to it. Like, it is meant to be slightly affronting in some way, like, oh, that's different. And then show something that's appealing to us. Because if I just created something that was just really cute and sweet and really consumable, then I would be just reproducing something that's in the media. You know, I wouldn't be showing anything new or at all. It does have to have something that kind of challenges us outside of our kind of sort of everyday mode. And the reason why I do this is because I want to discuss with other people important ethical questions that are part of living a life today, like what is our responsibility to the life that we change around us? And how do we relate to difference? And will we love all the things we create, or just the ones that are successes? And will we use technology and the things that we create with it as just a resource, like we do with nature? Because that's how we treat nature. And it hasn't really worked out that well for us. So I'm not against technology at all. In fact, I love technology and the things it can bring us, but I'm interested in how we're going to use it.